Welcome, everyone, to today's explainer. If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by the sheer noise in your own head, or if you've wondered what it really takes to find lasting inner peace, well, you are in exactly the right place. Today, we're breaking down a pretty fascinating text called Not the Mind, Learn to Understand It. Okay, let's dive into this, because we're going to be exploring the true mechanics of spiritual growth and what genuine mental freedom actually looks like.
So, do you have to give up everything to find peace? Really think about that for a second. We so often carry around this super intimidating, ascetic idea that spiritual maturity requires us to give up everything: our wealth, our relationships, our modern comforts. We literally picture a monk sitting alone in a cold cave, right? But what if that whole concept is actually pointing us in the complete opposite direction of true freedom? Section 1. The myth of letting go. Escaping versus awakening.
On one side of the coin, we have this massive myth, the belief that finding peace requires abandoning the external world, dropping your worldly responsibilities, and just giving away all your stuff. But the reality? It's quite different. The text we're analyzing points out that the absolute greatest obstacle you face is not what you possess. It's the mind, a mind that is constantly clinging to or pushing away everything around it. The real problem isn't your modern lifestyle, your job, or your car. It's actually your mind's psychological attachment to those things.
Section 2. How the mind creates chains. The trap of attachment.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how it breaks down the exact cyclical trap of the mind. It's like a hamster wheel. First, you try to force freedom by removing an attachment. Let's say you leave your home or distance yourself from family. Well, because of its nature, your mind immediately panics and searches for a new one to fill the void. It finds something else to hold on to. Maybe it's new rigid beliefs, fears, pride, or, and here is the ultimate irony, it latches onto the identity of being a highly spiritual person. Boom! Suddenly new chains are created. Even taking on the identity of being unattached becomes a brand new chain wrapping right around you. Section 3. The power of silent observation. Breaking the chains. True freedom is not achieved by forcing yourself to let go. This right here is a real game changer. Controlling or suppressing the mind, it's totally counterproductive. If you fight the mind, you're literally just using the mind to fight the mind. It's an exhausting mental tug of war, and worse, it just doesn't work. True freedom doesn't begin with brute force. It begins with deep, genuine understanding. So, how do we make that actionable? You start by deeply understanding how the mind works. Then, you simply observe your thoughts. No judging them, no trying to suppress them. You don't label them good or bad, you just watch. By quietly watching, you start to realize that every single attachment is actually created by the mind itself. And finally, you simply watch as those attachments naturally become weaker, completely without struggle. When you quietly observe your thoughts, you expose the traps, and without even putting up a fight, those attachments just lose their power over you. Section 4. The wisdom of childlike awareness, returning to clarity. Think about a child's mind for a second. A child experiences life with this amazing curiosity, innocence, and openness, right? They aren't constantly comparing their situation to others or stressing about the future. Because of this simple awareness, their mind is light and joyful. Now look at spiritual maturity. It is not about becoming more complicated, esoteric, or super serious. Actually, scratch that. It's the exact opposite. True maturity is simply returning to this natural, light, and joyful clarity, but doing so with the wisdom you've gained as an adult. You aren't regressing, you're just stripping away the complicated adult thinking that's been weighing you down. Section 5. Living fully, inwardly free. Returning to your life. So, the crucial point is how we actually define detachment. Detachment is not indifference. It is freedom from psychological dependence. Let that sink in for a moment. This completely redefines the whole concept for us. It makes it crystal clear that you do not have to be apathetic, cold, or emotionally cut off to be truly free. In fact, life is actually inviting us to engage even more fully. You can love people deeply without becoming psychologically dependent on them for your happiness. You can work sincerely, passionately, without being controlled by the fear of failure or some crazy obsession with success. You can absolutely enjoy life without becoming attached to temporary pleasures. The point is, you can have the job, love your family, and enjoy a fantastic meal as long as you remain free of the psychological dependence on those things to define who you actually are. Section 6. Awakening within your life. The constant witness. Now apply this next thought directly to yourself. You are not your thoughts.
You are the awareness that observes them. And this brilliantly illustrates the ultimate realization. Think about it logically. Your physical body changes over time. Your relationships change. Your circumstances change. Even your deepest held beliefs evolve. Everything is temporary. But the witnessing awareness, that quiet part of you that is observing all of those changes happen, that remains completely constant. Recognizing that witness, that's the real start of lasting peace.
When we pull the whole shebang together, a few core truths emerge really clearly. Truth appears when the mind stops clinging to what is mine and pushing away what is not mine. Remember, attachment and resistance are just two sides of the exact same mental habit. Understanding the mind is infinitely more powerful than trying to control it. Truth reveals itself in silent, choiceless awareness. And ultimately, the highest spiritual journey is awakening right here within your normal, everyday life, not escaping it. You just can't force this truth by accumulating more stuff, and you definitely can't force it by renouncing everything you own.
Let's move to and see how this builds into one definitive, powerful passage from our source. Do not fight the mind, and do not blindly follow it. Observe it with patience and understanding. The moment the mind is fully understood, its grip loosens naturally, and what remains is peace, clarity, and the silent awareness that has always been your true nature. That is the expansive, inspiring core of it all. You really don't have to fight yourself. You just have to watch, understand, and let the grip loosen. So, I leave you with this profound question. As you go through your busy day today, and you inevitably feel the urge to stress, to cling, or to resist, can you step back for just a moment and simply be the silent awareness watching it all happen?